kickback from my take on 007 First Light, great feedback from Scott's ranking of the Bond movies, my weekend with Capital Royale over Memorial Day weekend. I met up with Dave Zaritsky and we talked about the Bond community. Roland Hume had his Golden Bullets Award ceremony. And it's been 1 year since we lost John Lennon, the founder of the Irish James Bond fan club. I want to pay my respects. Lots to get into. Let's get to it.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
What the hell are you two doing? You wouldn't understand, Dad. You're not with it. I used to be with it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
If you don't start making more sense, we're going to have to put you in a home.
You already put me in a home.
Then we'll put you in the crooked home we saw in 60 Minutes.
I'll be good.
Okay, it's official. I am the old guy, the old curmudgeon who doesn't like the new ways and wants everything the old way. So that was kind of the response I got from my take on First Light. I still stand by it, by the way, and I'll get back to that. But yeah, I did. So I think the response I got was probably 60-40, 70-30. Probably more people were very excited about this game. And again, it probably just showed me that I'm probably just a little out of touch, both in the world of what people are looking for from James Bond and the world of gaming. Because again, my idea of gaming is GoldenEye 64, the Brosnan era video games, Nightfire, Agent Under Fire, all that good stuff. So this is new territory for me. I'll totally admit it. And but yeah, a lot of people seem to be very excited by it. And we're kind of feeling like, okay, finally, if this is what Amazon is going to give us, then I'm happy with that. I don't think one has to do with the other. I don't think that this has any connection to Amazon whatsoever. But it's perfectly reasonable to look at this and say this could be where most creators' thinking is these days. But yeah, so here's my concession. I remember when Casino Royale came out and thinking this was the greatest thing I'd ever seen, and thinking everyone felt the same way I do. And then I ran into some older Bond fans, more old school Bond fans, who hated it, who just basically said the second they saw a muscle-bound James Bond busting through sheetrock wearing a Hawaiian print shirt, they checked out. And so now I guess I'm now that's me. Now I'm the guy looking at this trailer saying, I don't see a tuxedo, I don't see a martini, I don't get it. I see a lot of other stuff. So maybe I'm that guy now. Maybe I'm pining for the old days of James Bond. But anyway, so I guess we're all sort of mixed on this. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. I will say this: Ray Kromhold, the Bond Armory, sent a pretty cool meme back to us that he whipped up real quick, and it was basically the new image of James Bond in the jacket with the collar popped up, and he kind of had Ethan Hunt from Final Reckoning on one side, and he had James Bond Jr. on the other side, the cartoon James Bond Jr., and I totally see that. I guess if this is, I guess they're kind of giving us a modern take on a very, very young James Bond, meaning like this could be like from the Charlie Higson novels, the later novels, kind of moving forward and segueing into the modern incarnation of Bond. And again, it's a very modern looking story, the story that's in the game. Yeah, okay. So I guess this is and this is sort of, I'm kind of reminded of the argument I've been making on behalf of No Time to Die. I've sort of been saying, listen, the Craig era is it's basically just it's one take on James Bond. It is one creative take on Bond. It's not the definitive take. And we don't have to ignore the 20 films that came before Daniel Craig to enjoy this one or whatever. So I guess that's what this is. This is like every other video game, frankly. It was sort of Bond in his own world. Every Bond video game, They weren't necessarily trying to be canonical with the films. Some of them existed on their own. Agent Under Fire had a completely unique character of Bond. So why would this be different? But again, I am sort of saying to myself, but even that, the Agent Under Fire, I see him in a tuxedo. I see him as being older and mature and a little more like James Bond. This young whippersnapper, yeah, I am gonna have I'll have to warm up to it. I have to, I have to wait till it comes out. I'll have to appreciate it for what it is and not what came before, etc. And again, see what I think when I play it. I'm not taking back what I said, by the way. I still feel that this trailer shows a lot of homage to other franchises. It really does. You can see so many other franchises. I mean, including John Wick, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. I kind of felt like it's almost like this version of James Bond is saying, if you can't beat him, join him. And that's the crux for me. I feel like they're sort of waving the white flag and saying, okay, I guess we have to do what they're doing now. And it still doesn't sit right. So, but again, I won't know for sure until I see the game play. Maybe it's going to follow the kind of Casino Royale format where, James Bond starts out rough, and by the time we get to the end, we're a little more seasoned and looking a little more like James Bond. If I had to take a wild guess, I'd say that's what this is going to do. So again, I want to give this a shot. But again, just based on what I saw, I see a lot of Mission Impossible. I see a lot of Reacher. I see a lot of John Wick. I see a lot of things that are not James Bond. I mean, if the logo wasn't on there, if you didn't see the 007 logo on the trailer and you didn't specifically see something looking like M's office in the beginning, would you walk away and say this is a Bond game? There's probably nothing in this that would have made you think this is a James Bond 007 game. So again, I'm going to be open-minded and see what we get when it comes out. But let's move on. So what happened in May? Well, first off, Scott came back strong, and honestly, I'm kind of kicking myself, and I'll tell you why. So Scott finally returned to the podcast with, and again, came out swinging and ranked all of his Bond films, including the 2 unofficial films. So he ranked 27 Bond films, and he even went the extra mile and sort of made it a double header. It was kind of like a double feature. What he would pair that film with, which I thought was pretty spectacular. I thought that was a really incredible idea. I know he had that brewing for a while, so I'm glad we finally got around to it. Everyone loved it. I got a lot of great comments on it. Obviously, I'm thrilled with how it turned out. The part, why am I kicking myself? Well, because it made me realize I really should have saved that for... I should have made a video out of that. That was a really good bit of content, and I felt like I probably knocked it out just too quick. I mean, we talked about it for a little while. We were gonna, we'll put it this way. He didn't really... I don't think I really understood the depth of what he had in mind until we actually did it. And once I heard the final product, I was like, yeah, that should have been a video. I should have really given that the treatment. But anyway, regardless, I was really excited to have Scott back finally, and the planets finally aligned, and so it was, again, it felt like old times. So I was just really, really happy with that. So what else has been going on? So Memorial Day weekend, I was down in DC with the crowd from Capital Royale. And boy, what a great job they did, and I really had a fun time. A lot of laughs, a lot of libations. In fact, the last night I think I had to retire to my hotel room a little early because those IPAs were hitting a little harder than I realized. But yeah, big thanks to Melanie, Burb 007, and Chris, the British Bond addict, for being so welcoming. We spent the days at one of the Air and Space museums. I finally got to see the new Spy Museum in its new location, which was pretty cool. And I finally saw the Bond in Motion down in DC, so that was really, really cool. And again, good company, good crowd, a lot of laughs, especially while playing fishbowl. So that was a lot of fun. And I again, really good people, really good conversations, and I was so glad I went. So thank you guys for that. Honestly, and again, if you are in the area, definitely check out Capital Royale and the calendar of things. I did an interview with Melanie earlier this year, talking about some of the events that they have lined up. I wanted to make sure I got down for at least one because, again, they're not that far from me, so it worked out nicely. But if you're on the East Coast, definitely check out Capital Royale. I went down to see Dave Zaritsky a couple days ago, and we recorded a couple videos, and also checked out the location. I actually went down to Dave's twice in the last few weeks, so I'm sort of combining it into one story. Checked out the place where we are going to do the book launch in August, and I'll talk more about that in a second. So we had did we have a tremendous lunch. I felt like it was kind of like when the bride goes to the place where the catering is going to be, or the reception hall, and they just like stuff her full of food and all the things that they're going to serve. That was Dave and I. We ordered everything off the menu that we knew was gonna be there. And I'm not just saying this, but the food was absolutely tremendous. This place was really incredible. Anyway, the place is Vault Brewing in Yardley, PA, and we had a fantastic lunch there. So I'm really looking forward to the event coming up in August and the signing. And yeah, all very cool. And I'll come back to that. But anyway, Dave and I, shot a couple videos, and one of which just came out. We talked about the state of the Bond community, and again, kind of an easy one for me. And I feel like I say that. I feel like that is sort of the phrase of the last few years, right? The Bond community. I mean, I feel like, the camaraderie that we have all sort of put together in the last few years, kind of in response to the fact that there's not been a lot of news and not a lot happening, plus COVID and all that good stuff. But anyway, so we talked about where that is now, and obviously I said I think it's wonderful. I think everything about it is terrific. So check out that video over on the Bond Experience, and thank you once again to Dave for his wonderful hospitality and for two incredible lunches, really stellar lunches. So thank you, my friend. And then this past weekend, we had the Golden Bullet Awards, hosted by Roland Hume. And again, it was a lot of fun. Yours truly was sort of in charge of tech support, but it was kind of, we didn't have a whole lot of time to plan and set up and do whatever. So hopefully the final product turned out all right. If you watched the video, I helped Roland with a lot of the graphics. The microphone setup was not quite right, so I know something we need to fix for next year, so I will be talking to Roland about that. But the awards were very cool. I think a lot of very good people won some awards, which I thought was very nice. A lot of content creators, writers, people really got some accolades for the work that they put in. Yours truly was nominated for Best Podcast, which I thought was very kind of people to do, because I don't think I put out a whole lot of material in 2024. But I think it was kind of, like the old timer, gets a nod, which I appreciate. But honestly, there were incredible podcasts that have been active in the last year that have really come out swinging and really doing incredible stuff. So honestly, I think I would have been very embarrassed if I had won that one, but thankfully I didn't. But again, the winners and the other nominees were absolutely tremendous. And I was ready to flip the table if Pete Brooker walked away with it, but he didn't. So anyway. But huge props to Roland Hume for all his efforts to put this together. I think the whole concept is so perfect and frankly probably overdue to kind of do again, not to pat ourselves on the back, but a lot of people put a lot of really great efforts into their contributions to the community, and I think to recognize that is so important. So I think this is just a terrific idea. So Roland, great job, and again, looking forward to helping you next year. The last thing I wanted to mention was we just had the 1-year anniversary of the passing of John Lennon. the founder of the Irish James Bond fan club. And Paul Lally had reached out to me and said, would you like to contribute something? And I said, absolutely, I would. And then it just got past me, and I never actually did it. So I wanted to take a minute and just to say, say a few things about John. And, I was it was terrible. Again, John was a guy that I felt like I was just getting to know, and then he passed, and I never actually got a chance to meet him, which really, that's kind of terrible, because the thing that I wanted to say, or the thing that I want to say about John is, anytime I spoke with him, from the time he introduced himself, the things that he always said to me that I will always remember. He asked me to get on with some live streams. He said, would you mind coming on, talking to some of the fellas over here? I said, yeah, absolutely. But when you listen to him speak, the thing he always said was, I think they will get a kick out of this. I think they will have a lot of fun with this. I think a lot of them will be very excited for this. He was always talking about how he could make other people happy. He was honestly one of the most selfless souls I had ever encountered. He was constantly focused on what he could do to bring a little happiness and cheer to other people. This was clearly, and again, the fact that he passed not long after he started this, it was very obvious that he wanted to leave something behind for other people. He wanted to make his mark, leave a legacy, but he wanted to do something for other people. He wanted to do something to bring joy and happiness to other people. So, and again, that didn't escape me. It was very clear what kind of a person he was, and just how much heart he had, and what a giving, caring soul he was. That was the thing I wanted to mention about John. And again, I was very sad that he passed on before I got a chance to meet him. So at some point I will get over there and I will meet with the other fellas from the club, and we will absolutely raise a glass to John Lennon. Truly a guy who left us too soon before we really got to know him. But I think he will always be remembered because of the work that he did, and again, because of the giving nature and just what a caring soul he was. So I guess that's my May wrap up. Again, a lot happened in May, and I feel like the whole thing was a blur, and it's already June. You hit that age where you're constantly saying, I can't believe how fast the time is going. But that's me now, constantly looking at the calendar saying, how could it possibly be this far into the year already? But here we are. So anyway, thank you for tuning in, and it's been an incredible month, and I think the rest of the summer is going to be filled with pretty incredible things. I know there are things happening all over the world as we speak. I know that there's something over there happening in Paris as we speak, or is just wrapping up, and boy, color me jealous. What a trip, the Chantilly trip, Paris and Chantilly. Things happening all over the place as we speak, and I know it's going to continue throughout the summer, so it's a pretty exciting time to be a fan of James Bond, and I hope you are able to participate in some way. By the way, that reminds me, before I close out, I wanted to mention, how could I forget this, the launch of Being James Bond Volume 1, the second edition, will happen in mid-August, just over 2 months from now. If you are planning to go to Pennsylvania for some of Dave Zaritsky's events, it is August 15th and 16th. David has some pretty incredible events happening. So if you're around, please join us for the launch. It's going to be held at Vault Brewing, a spectacular place. I mentioned earlier that we picked out, and the food is incredible. The craft beers are incredible. And again, it's going to be a lot of fun. So please come for that event. Again, this is the official launch of Being James Bond Volume 1, the second edition, which I wanted to put out before the release of Volume 2, which will come out later this year. So again, please reach out if you can make it. I will leave it at that. This is your good buddy, head of section. I will be seeing you soon. Enjoy the kicking off of your summer. It is starting to get hot. Starting to get very hot, so enjoy your summer, and I will talk to you very soon. Keep living like James Bond.